Hi, this is Kara from the Special Needs Mom podcast.
And this is Angela from Especially Organized, Sensible Solutions for Special Needs Moms.
We have this heart for special needs moms. And so we thought, you know what, let's combine forces. And we have come up with what we're calling the Purge Party. And you can pretty much guess what it is. It's a party where we're going to come together and we're going to purge or, in general, accomplish a goal, a small goal together. So we have set this for January 27th, starting at 8 o'clock for my Pacific Coast people,
which means 11 o'clock for all of you on the East Coast. So this is an opportunity. If you have something on your to-do list that has just been stuck there and you are wanting to move it up on the list, you're wanting to tackle, maybe it's a space or an area of your home or a category in your home that has just needed a little time and attention. This is your opportunity for you to be online with us while you work and have access for us to help you answer your questions, help guide you, and just serve you for those 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can tell like what we've designed is just this very high level of support for that project that you just haven't been able to tackle on your own. The thing that we are envisioning is that you get to leave this purge party feeling so accomplished because you did the thing. You started the year off getting that thing done that you were stuck on last year. And so it's a momentum builder, if you will. You can go ahead and sign up. We have a link ready for you, and we are offering this for $40 for the whole experience.
Absolutely. And we hope you'll join us. I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a great group of moms of special needs kids. So we all get each other. We all have an understanding of what it's like to have something on our to-do list, but just we haven't been able to tackle it yet. So I hope that you will join us. We're super excited to bring this to you, and we are thrilled to work with you.
All right. We'll see you all there. Hi, I'm Kara Riska, life coach, wife, and the mother of 4 incredible and unique kids. It wasn't all that long ago that my son received a diagnosis that had my world come crashing down. I completely lacked the ability to see past the circumstances, which felt impossible, and the dreams I once had for my life and family felt destroyed. Fast forward past many years of surviving and not at all thriving, and you'll see a mom who trusts that she can handle anything that comes her way and has access to the power and grace that once felt so completely lacking. I started the Special Needs Mom podcast to create connection and community with moms who find themselves up against what feels impossible. My intention is to spark the flare of possibility in your own life and rekindle the dreams that you hold impossible now. This isn't a podcast about your special needs child. This is a podcast about you. If you're a mom who feels anxious, alone, or stuck, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Well, hello and welcome back to the Special Needs Mom podcast. If you're new around here, we are so glad to have you. This is a community where we're coming together to hold one another as moms of these extraordinary and extraordinarily challenging children. And I'm especially present to what it takes to parent my particular child today after I'm just emotionally processing some things that happened over the weekend and some information that came to light. And I will share that for another episode once I'm more through it. I think right now I'm still processing a lot. What I want to share with you is the experience as a special needs mom asks of us to constantly elevate the capacity we have for our emotions, and specifically some of those emotions that many of us find challenging, like sadness, devastation, grief, embarrassment. These are the emotions that I'm especially processing today. And my temptation is to want to rush on through them to get to the other side, to go where I feel more comfortable and more safe. But I share this with you to invite you to inquire of your own emotions and wonderings of what your next level is. Okay, so we're in episode 39, and this is the third in a series of episodes I'm doing on habits, specifically based around the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you read the book, you will be, this will be a nice summary of the book. And if you love the information that I'm sharing with you today, go read the book. It'll allow you to dive a little bit deeper and to continue to bring application to the information I am sharing. So to recap the first couple episodes in the series. So the first episode, we really looked at the relationship between our identity and habits, and actually how our identity is the thing that really drives what we do. So if you believe I am a runner, or if you identify as a runner, you would say I am a runner. Very likely you would run. It's so simple. But then when we get to kind of more complex ideas, like I am a happy mom, that's an identity that you could have. What are the things that you do or wouldn't do with that identity? And if we look at your current identity, or if we look at your current habits, we could probably project some identities that you have that you may or may not be aware of. And so constantly we're trying to prove our identity true by the things that we do. And obviously you can go back to listen to that episode to dive a little bit deeper in, but that's just, if you're jumping in here, I do recommend you go back and listen to the series. But if you're a rule breaker, first off, I love you and you're welcome here. And you can jump right in here too. It'll all be very applicable still. Last week's episode, we went over the first of the 4 laws of behavior change that James Clear shares in his book. First one, make it obvious. Second, make it attractive. And this week, we're going to finish up the series with the last 2 laws, making it easy and making it satisfying. And so we're going to jump right in and start with making it easy. And one of the sentences he has in his book is walk slowly, but never backward. And it took me a second to absorb this. And I think it's the idea that you don't got to go fast. Like you can literally be barely moving and that still counts. And really what's most effective as a form of learning is practice, not planning. And I think I mentioned this in my last episode, that practice is one of my favorite words. James emphasizes the difference between practicing and planning. Like planning is thinking that you're going to do something or even figuring out how versus actually doing. He distinguishes between being in action, not in motion. Motion being described as planning, strategizing, learning. Action is the type of behavior that will deliver an outcome. So like an action would be going for a walk, eating a healthy meal, right? So looking at that as a good one, like doing a meal plan is planning, eating the meal is the action. And I would actually assert that we do need both, because if we don't plan and create an environment for us to succeed, then it's just going to make the action harder. So, and since we're focusing on the law of making it easy, that's why this is important. The law of least effort. This is creating an environment that requires the least amount of work. I love this one. I love it. Because I think oftentimes, I don't know why, but we forget that we are making the rules, that we are actually the ones deciding what we're asking ourselves to do, what we think we should do, what we think is required. And then at any given moment, we can literally change the rules, change the game that we're playing. And so creating an environment that requires the least amount of work is something like only having healthy snacks at home so that when you are hungry, you easily grab something that is healthy. I know for myself, if I don't plan my lunch ahead of time, that when it comes lunchtime, I will always choose a quesadilla, which is the easiest thing to make and so easy to eat, over any form of anything healthy, like a salad. Like the idea of slapping some cheese on a tortilla and throwing it in the microwave is so appealing in the moment. And so I actually have to create an easier, a least friction opportunity to if I want to have a salad. So for me, that looks like buying pre-made chicken, buying the salad bags, and then at one point in the week, kind of like making my own little pre-made salad situation so that I can as easily grab that salad as I can grab the quesadilla. You see how the law of the least effort can actually make something really easy. Whereas before you were thinking it was willpower and just making bad choices in the moment. Like the idea of making it really easy to make the choices that we want. I love this idea. Or anything, another example is doing something like, I know for my husband and I, we're trying to only drink alcohol when we're either have people over or when we go out somewhere. Like, it's like a Pavlovian response on Friday night. We usually have pizza at our house and like the beer just goes with that. And as I wrap up my week on Friday, my brain's just like, beer, beer, beer. Sounds horrible, but that's what's happening in my brain. I'm like, beer, 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 beer. And I'm like, okay, no, like we're actually okay. Like we actually don't want the beer right now. We want to be super present with my kids. We want to be able to get up, early on Saturday. And I feel like I should put it in this, like I'm having one or two beers. This is not, we're having like a kegerator at our house. I don't know why I feel like I have to justify that, but I felt like some of you might not totally understand what I'm talking about. So it looks like for us, it looks like not having cold beers in the refrigerator. Like if we have them at the house, they're not cold. So like the effort that it would require for us to get something cold or to, let's say, go buy something because it's cold, like would require a lot of effort. So it's actually easier to do the action that we actually wanted to take from that higher level of thinking. We can also reduce friction with good habits. So if going to the gym requires a subway ride and then a walk 10 minutes to the gym, I would assert that that's a lot of friction. Like that's a lot of work to just get to the gym. And so you can actually reduce the friction by finding something that requires less and the least effort. So that might look like riding your bike around your neighborhood, or it could be going for a walk, or it could be finding a gym that doesn't require that amount of effort. So really, you will know what feels like the least friction or the least effort for you, and making it so easy is the goal here. Also, another way to kind of flip this on the side, or I guess upside down, is increase the friction of habits you want to drop. So kind of going back to the drinking or even eating something that's convenient would be an example of this. So like for me, having cookies on the counter would be very easy for me to eat them. And increasing the friction would be like not having them in the house. So that if I really want the cookies, I either have to make them or I have to go to the market and buy them. So do you see how that increases the friction of that? Other examples of this, which I think examples are really fun, would be like if you want to watch less TV, it would be like unplugging or disabling your TV in some way after you watch it, so that the next time you watch it, you actually have a lot of friction to be able to watch the TV. Do you see how like even just having that little bit of friction to do something that may not align with the identity that you want to have would make a big difference? One of my favorite ones is brushing my teeth, maybe not immediately after dinner, but pretty close after dinner, so that, one, I love having clean teeth, so that feels good. But if my teeth are already brushed and I see a little morsel, or if my kids are having a snack, for me, the friction of having to brush my teeth again is not worth having a bite of food. And so it's so easy. I already have to brush my teeth anyhow. And so for me, there's a very low amount of friction in brushing my teeth early. Just actually, I love it because it's helping me get ready for bed, which to me is a total win. I like to go to bed early. And so that really kind of works in both areas. I'm immediately rewarded with having clean teeth. I'm also one step closer to getting ready for bed. And then it increases the negative friction of wanting to maybe eat when I probably am not hungry. Here's another really great way of looking at it. There's a way to stop procrastination by really making it easy, and he calls this the 2-minute rule. So of course we're excited when we want to start a new habit. Let's use exercise as an example. This comes up all the time. And so we think, oh, we're going to go exercise, and we're going to exercise 3 days a week, or maybe 4 or 5 if you're really gung-ho. And so it becomes very big. And when things become big for ourselves, we usually try to avoid them. We don't like big and hard things. When you're starting a new habit, you can have this 2-minute rule. Anything that is related to this new habit that you want to incorporate should take less than 2 minutes to do. And I know you're going to be like, wait a second, like that's not even going to matter. Well, just give it a try. Because remember, it's not necessarily always about the thing that we're doing. It's about changing our relationship to who we are. Boom. Pay attention to that. Okay. So you might be tempted to think that the 2 minutes don't matter because whatever you're going to do in that 2 minutes won't make a significant dent in whatever it is that you're trying to do or become. But it's less about the actual result of that 2 minutes than it is voting for the identity that you want to have. So it's like you're putting money in a bank, and no matter if it's 2 minutes or 2 hours of you having the practice of being that person, it doesn't matter as much as you believing and becoming that person. So if you want to start eating salads for lunch, it could take you, like I said earlier, like if I just say I want to eat a salad and I buy a bunch of vegetables, I'll tell you from experience that those vegetables will sit in my fridge and then I will have a quesadilla. So if I want to start, and so this is what I did to start. I would buy pre-made salads where literally it just took me taking it out of the fridge to be able to eat a salad for lunch. And then gradually I moved up towards, like I just explained, I buy some chicken. I cut that up. I did it today. So I buy some pre-made chicken. I don't even cook the chicken. I just buy it. And then I cringe at how much it costs and how much I could save if I cooked it myself, but I get over that. And I cut it up in like 3 portions. I put the veggies, just the lettuce, nothing fancy here, in portions, in little things. I got these really cute little salad dressing holders now. I'm really excited about those. And it's all ready now for the next 2 days. So that makes it very easy. It took me probably more than 2 minutes to do that. But initially, it took me almost 0 minutes just to buy the salad. And do you see how I took the friction out and I made that so easy? Okay. So other examples that I want to just tickle your mind with are like if you want to start reading before bed, or let's just say if you want to start journaling before bed, instead of saying, I'm just going to journal, you could say, I'm going to write 1 sentence. And that's not even 2 minutes. So do you see how easy that becomes for your mind? Or if you want to start reading, you could say, I'm going to read 1 page. And then you get to check the box that you won for that day. So if you want to do yoga, instead of saying 30 minutes of yoga, say, I'm going to get the mat out. You see how that just removes the resistance. It makes it so easy. And then once that becomes easy, then the next part, it feels easier. And all of a sudden you're doing 2 things and they both feel equally easy. If running 3 miles is the goal, putting on your running shoes is the thing that takes less than 2 minutes. And again, this is so effective because once you start doing the desired thing, it becomes easier and easier to do more of the things that you want to do that align with this identity that you have been building up in the bank. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. This is where we can kind of think a little bit ahead of time and create an environment of success. So this is like one-time habits that lock in good habits that just make them almost so easy you don't even notice that you're doing them. A great example here is putting your phone out of your room. I know this is one that when I let my phone creep into my room, it is just too easy for me to spend time doing easy things like checking my email or even popping on social channels in the morning. It's just easier for me to do that than to do the things that I intend to do with the time that I wake up early in the morning to do. And so I know that the environment that's going to make my habits easy is having that phone far, far away. And actually at this point, I probably need to leave it farther because it's like, I think I do actually have it in my room, but then right when I wake up, I unplug it and I put it away from where I sit. And that was kind of working for a while, but that little thing, it just sneaks its way back over in there. So I think that I need to even up level my game more and, cringy, maybe put it downstairs or put it in an entirely other room. Because I know that it's not enough friction for me to like walk across the room to go back and get it. Other examples of this, of like one-time habits that lock in good habits, is like an automatic savings plan. Or even like buying a pair of running shoes or a running outfit that you want to wear. So therefore you put them on easily. You see how like that is something so little, but it kind of, you buy it one time and then it feels good every time you wear them. Other things, especially I thought of for us moms, is like automatically filling and having prescriptions mailed. Or it could be like meal delivery, grocery delivery, and automatic meal planning. And it could be like if you are having a hard time with the habit of being on time, of having the one-time habit of looking ahead of your entire week and making sure that you have enough commute time, drive time, transition time to get to everything on time, that you don't have any conflicting appointments. And to see how that one-time habit could actually ripple out and hugely impact, if you think about the huge impact of any one of those things, other areas. And it makes it easy. That's the point here. I think sometimes we feel like we're cheating if we like lower the standard or we make something easier. But I really want you to, again, recognize that we are inventing the game we're playing anyhow, and we get to make the rules. And it's just really smart to make it easy. So I want you to like really celebrate how easy you can make things for yourself. Okay, on to the last point, making it satisfying. So this is the last one. This is what brings it all together. We're more likely to repeat a behavior when it becomes satisfying or pleasurable. I mean, this makes sense, right? Like if you don't like the way something feels, you won't do it anymore. If there's no reason for you to get like a good, nice feeling, or that you think it's meaningful or at least worth the pain, you're going to stop doing it. Our brain automatically prioritizes things that we get rewarded for. And the more immediate, the more quickly the brain thinks, that is a really good idea. I'm going to do that again. It goes the other way too. What is immediately punished is avoided. And so to make a good habit stick, you need to feel immediately successful. And now this can get kind of tricky because in some cases, we're going to do something, or one of the habits we want to do is not going to necessarily give us that quick hit of success. Like, I don't know, weight loss is just such an easy example that I'm going to still use it. Okay, so if you eat one healthy meal, you're probably not going to be able to go to the scale and be like, wow, I lost weight. That'd be great. But we love that immediate, quick response of this was good. Okay, so there's a couple ways we can approach this. Knowing that that's what our brain wants, we, in this step, need to give it what it wants. One way to do this is to recognize our desire to gather and accumulate. And so this is where I've used like a jar where I have marbles in there. For every time I do or don't do a certain behavior, I get to put a marble in the jar. And our brains just love to see them building up. We can see then something tangible happening to actually, again, give what's maybe intangible or maybe a slower process some tangibility so we can actually see an impact. And so even having maybe a calendar where you mark off the accomplishment of a habit or the consistency of a behavior, where then you can see your track record. One of my friends does a practice where he writes 750 words a day. And I think that's 750. And he's done this now for like hundreds of days in a row because he doesn't want to lose his streak. And he has this program where he writes that much every day. It takes him like almost an hour some days. But because his brain sees, oh, I have this streak, I'm accumulating something, it was instrumental in him being able to stick with that habit. Okay, so this can be a visual cue. So this can be where you have a calendar. This can be a jar of marbles. The first three laws, I love how this kind of brings it all together. The first three laws make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy. These all increase the odds of a behavior actually happening, like occurring one time. This last law increases the odds that it will be repeated. And I really think this one's important because most of us don't want to have one good habit one time. We actually want the longevity, the consistency. We want the compound effect of habits happening over and over again. So don't skip this step. And so this is where, again, if we kind of say this is a game we're playing, we can use reinforcement on purpose. And again, that could be the habit jar or something that we're using. But we're going to use reinforcement that reinforce our identity. And we're going to make sure that we align whatever reward that we're going to create for ourselves with our ultimate outcome. So as an example, if you're trying to spend less money, let's say on eating out, and the intention is to save some money, then your reward wouldn't necessarily be going out and buying a new jacket. Like you wouldn't want to have an intention of saving money and a reward of spending money. It kind of contradicts the habit or the identity of being somebody that has savings or is a saver or is prepared for emergency. Rather, you'd probably want to have a reinforcement that allows you to see this is a reward, to see the wealth building. So this could be having a special account that you transfer some amount of money in anytime you decide not to go out and eat at home. So you can literally see that money moving over and see it like go into a new account that's building. Do you see how tangible that makes it? Or you can do something like even have a jar on your counter where cash seems a little antiquated these days, but you could again use the marble example, use a marble and put that in there. And when you get to that, the jar is full of marbles, then you might say, I do want to give myself a reward that we spend some money on, because you would have created an opportunity to have an abundance of savings because of what you had saved and not just frivolously spending. Again, like if your intention is to be healthy, and so the habit is to eat healthier, maybe not to eat sweets, then you wouldn't reward yourself with ice cream. You might, if you want to be healthier, a reward for that might be giving you something that feeds into that health. Like maybe it's even taking an extra walk or a leisurely walk or taking a bath or that could be like buying yourself a new workout outfit as a reward for making some decisions in the health category that, again, encourage you more in that identity of somebody that is active and healthy. One of the most satisfying feelings is making progress. And so there's a lot of ideas here to help track and create visual representations of your progress. And progress for us is one of those feelings that feels so good. The experience of feeling like you're making a difference, oftentimes the anticipation of having that experience of the end goal isn't even always as good as the experience of getting there, of believing that you're somebody that is healthy, that is becoming healthy. That is a very rewarding feeling. And so The game here is to actually make sure that you can feel the feeling along the way, because that is what is satisfying. So using all the tools here to really make sure you have a reward, a reinforcement, and it is satisfying. And lastly, there is the opportunity for an accountability partner. And this is another way of also kind of working with the human brain, the human desires that we have. And so one way to make something satisfying is to honor a commitment to another person. On the other side, something that's very unsatisfying for us humans is to break a promise or to break a commitment to another person. So having an accountability partner, somebody that can create an immediate cost to inaction or to action. So, right, if you even just have an agreement to send a text when you finish a walk to a friend, and then they write back saying, good job, that is an immediate reward where you can feel then the social satisfaction of honoring your word and being somebody who does what she says she's going to do. And in an extreme case, you can actually set up a habit contract. There was an example in the book where this guy wrote up this contract and he had I think his coach sign it and then his wife sign it. And he had all these parameters for if he didn't, I don't remember what he wanted. I think he was tracking his food. He was tracking his food and let's just say he was weighing himself every day. And so he had all these elaborate consequences for if he didn't follow through on what he said he was going to do. The idea of signing it just increases your the seriousness that you're taking it. And obviously you can still break it and you can tell your friends, yeah, shove it. But it feels so good to honor that contract that you made yourself. So as we wrap up this series, in summary, the more sacred an idea is to us, the more deeply we hold it to our identity. And the more strongly we will defend it. And I think this part's really important because our culture has a lot of preset identities of what it's like to be a mom. And so some of us can hold onto those pretty hard, especially what it's like to be a special needs mom. I think most of us, it feels very normal to believe that motherhood, it can be stressful, overwhelming, that it can feel monotonous, that it can feel thankless, that as a special needs mom, it's normal to have it just be impossible and isolating. Some of us are going to actually hold sacredly and pretty tightly to those beliefs because they're tied to an identity that we feel pretty strongly about. And if we're not aware of these identities that we have that actually aren't serving us, then those are almost like poison. They're like cancer eating away at you, and you don't know why it feels so hard. You don't know why you can't get unstuck. You don't know why you constantly feel so anxious. But what you don't realize is that you've been believing that that is part of the identity of motherhood. What's required in all of this to to really make the habits matter is reflection and review. It's like the antidote for the lack of self-awareness, the poison that can be. It's the cure, it's the chemotherapy for that cancer. I want you to remember that the identity of being a happy, fulfilled, satisfied, content, calm, confident mom is every bit as possible as it is to be all the other ways that I had mentioned earlier. And that it's so tempting for us to think that something has to change circumstantially for us to be able to have such a different experience. But that is the opposite of true. It's 100% about our identity and the stories that we hold as true and our ability to become aware of those stories that we're running off of and that are either creating us feeling super stuck or full of hope. And so as we wrap up this, again, we all ultimately have different circumstances. Each of us will progress in the same way through a commitment to tiny, sustainable, unrelenting improvements. And if you hear this and you think some of this still sounds hard or tiring or even undesirable, then let's go back to those 4 laws and review. Is it obvious? Have you made it obvious? Attractive, easy, satisfying? And so our success is not a goal to reach or a finish line to cross. Like there's no point of arriving as human beings and especially as mothers. But really right now, it's just a system to improve and an endless process to refine. There's no end point or place or destination at which one point we will all of a sudden be all the things we desire. It's an ever increasing capacity of building the identity that you do desire. And I love going back to, I think it was last week, that to become who we desire, really it's a decision to be that person and then practicing being that person over and over again. Wherever you are on this journey of motherhood, whether you're a mom that has had a diagnosis for 20 years, or if you are in the first 2 months of your child's diagnosis, I want to invite you to the group coaching program that I've created just for you, for moms that feel a little bit paralyzed sometimes and just deal with being overwhelmed and anxious and definitely feeling stuck. First off, I want you to know you're not alone. And I've created the Being Mom Together coaching group so that first off, we can really disrupt the story that nobody understands. Because as we meet together as special needs moms, what you will learn is that the way that you process information, what you're dealing with in terms of all the different emotions that I shared earlier as I started this episode, they're not altogether different from all these other moms. And so you are far more known, loved, and understood than you realize. And being part of this group allows you to see that and to be met with compassion, non-judgmental grace, but also an opportunity to really question the identities that you may have taken on unknowingly and to intentionally disrupt them and to take on some new identities. And then to be able to actually decide how you want to practice taking on a new identity. And of course, we'll refer back to many of the tools and the tricks identified in the last series here. And I just want to encourage you to go back through the 3 episodes together. And in the first episode, I encouraged you to create an implementation intention. And if you have created that habit a single time, yay, again for you. But I want you to go back through it again and to ask yourself how to make it easier and how to make it more satisfying. How to then repeat that habit over and over again to become the mom that you desire to be. So I want to invite you to this group and to be part of it and to have that be the one-time action that you take that sets you up and puts you in an entirely different environment to create more and more good habits. All you need to do is click on the show notes for this episode. You will see an easy link to schedule a consult with me, and we will talk about what you desire and how to help you get it. I look forward to hearing from you. See you next week. One more thing before we officially wrap up this show. Sometimes when I'm listening to podcasts, I have the experience of wanting more. I'm listening at the very end thinking, I sure wish that episode didn't end. I invite you, if you feel in any way the same way, I invite you to the Special Needs Mom podcast community, which is a free group that I host on Facebook, where we as a community of fellow moms who listen to this podcast and are experiencing life in similar shoes, get to talk to one another, get to share stories, get to actually interact. I hope you'll consider joining. See you over there.